Hello and welcome to Basic Song Service Guitar Lesson 1. Let's get started. All right, so first things first, let's go over posture. This is very important when playing guitar. Very important because it helps you in being comfortable and being able to play the guitar right and being able to produce the sound that you want to produce and to give you the ability to play for hopefully a long time. Very, very important. So first things first, you want to be able to, of course, sit up straight. You don't want to be slouched over your guitar. Things can vary depending on whether you're sitting or standing, but overall, and this goes with most instrument playing, you want to have a straight posture. You want to have a straight back. So when it comes to holding the guitar, you can see the way that I'm holding it, fairly comfortable. The neck is pretty much parallel with the ground. Some can play with the neck of the guitar slightly turned up. I don't recommend playing with the neck turned down, of course. So you want to have a comfortable parallel position with the floor. When it comes to your right hand technique, of course, I'm speaking from a right hand playing perspective. If you're playing left-handed, take all these instructions and flip them, of course. So right hand, you want to rest your bicep over the back curved portion of the guitar. Of course, this pertains to playing an acoustic guitar. If you're playing an electric, it's very similar, just that electrics are smaller in the body size of the guitar, but you want your arm to fall pretty much to this bottom corner of the guitar here, so that your strumming hand, which you can see is my right hand here, is playing right over the hole of the guitar right here. This is where the sound is picked up at best. So you want to be able to play over this, it's called a sound hole in this guitar. I am playing with a pick. I will be playing with a pick for this video and probably future videos. If you're a beginner playing guitar, I do recommend a very medium thickness kind of pick. This is a 0.6 millimeter size if you're looking for a specific size number. But I do recommend a medium to a lighter thickness of pick when it comes to purchasing. When it comes to the left hand, if you don't have your left hand right, you won't be able to play the guitar right. You won't be able to produce the sound that you are trying to produce. So when it comes to playing the guitar, the palm basically is going to go behind this neck. This is the neck of the guitar here. Your fingers are going to be played with your knuckles bent. You're going to be playing various different finger positions, so you want to have bent fingers. You don't want to tuck your palm up against the neck of the guitar. You don't want to hug the back. You kind of want to have a gap so that your fingers have room, as you can see here, to play over the strings. Some people like to play with their thumb hanging over the top. Many guitar players do that, but I recommend that you try to pull that thumb slightly back so that you're able to reach all of the different chord positions comfortably. And so when it comes to playing and producing a sound, you want to play with your fingers pretty much pointing down into the strings. You don't want to sag your fingers kind of flat like this. You want your finger to come pointing right at the guitar, right at the fretboard, so that when you're playing a string, you press it down, you're able to get a clear sound. If you're playing a group of strings, of course it's called a chord. If your fingers are kind of sagging and they're played flat, what you'll do is you'll mute the sound of the strings that are following this topmost string. So you want to make sure you bring your knuckles out, pull your wrists out a little bit, and you want to kind of have this position when it comes to playing the guitar. And so a little bit more about the guitar. As I mentioned before, this is the neck of the guitar. What you see on the neck is called a fretboard. This top part that you're able to see is the fretboard of the guitar, and these metal strips on the fretboard are actually called the frets. So when you're playing the guitar, you want to produce a sound. We already talked about your finger position. What you want to do when playing a specific string on the guitar, producing a note, is you want to press down into the fretboard. Press the string that you want to play down into the fretboard, and you want to play close to the fret in front of it here. So you see I'm playing here with my middle finger. I'm pressing it down, and I'm going to pluck that same string that the finger is pressing down on with my right hand, and I'll produce a sound. You don't want to play on the fret. You don't want to play way back here within this fret space here. You want to play just behind the fret bar. Sometimes what will happen is if you're playing too far back, you'll get a real muted, muddy kind of sound. So you want to press down pretty firmly and produce that sound. Now, what you want to learn, this is considered standard tuning, but you want to learn what each one of these strings, the note value that they represent. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start here at the top. In many diagrams, you'll see that string number 1 is this very bottom or the highest pitched string. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is the lowest string. What I'll do is just for an easy pattern, we'll go low to high. So this very top string, or the 6th string, when played open, that means no frets are being pressed down on that top string. When you play it open, it has a note value of E. All right? E. The next string is A. The 4th string, excuse me, from the bottom is D, then G, B, E. Memorize that. Will save you a lot of time. E, A, D, G, B, and E. Next, what I want to go over is how to produce a chord. This is the foundation of being able to play rhythm guitar for a song service, is you want to be able to play chords. And what a chord is it's a group of notes played at the same time. And so what I'll do is I'll show you how to play a chord, and in the PDF that I've attached to this video, the link will be in the description, there is a grouping of chords to give you some practice, some basic chords that you'll be able to play. And as you memorize these chords more and more, what will happen is it'll create muscle memory. You'll be able to find these chords a lot faster. So with that being said, let's play some chords. First, I want to show you, it's an E minor chord. So first of all, let's number our fingers. Your thumb is going to be the backing of the neck of the guitar, so we're not going to count that. So the rest of it just as follows. Finger number 1 is your index finger, middle finger is number 2, ring finger is number 3, and your 4th finger is your pinky. And there are times where you will use all 4 fingers, so very important to remember those numbers. So when it comes to playing an E minor, we're going to be using fingers 2 and 3. So what you're going to do on the 5th string, this is the A string here, the 2nd fret, you're going to be playing your 3rd finger or your middle finger. You're going to place it in the middle, kind of close to the front, but the reason we're not going all the way up is because we need to make space for our 3rd finger, or the ring finger here. All right, so getting pretty close to that fret bar, 5th string, 2nd fret, 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay, you can kind of see they're like stair steps. All right, when you have to play chords where your fingers are in real close proximity to each other, you just kind of stagger your fingers. All right, don't worry about trying to put your fingers on top of each other. Just stagger them a bit. As long as you have enough pressure and you're not on top of the actual fret bars, you should be able to produce a sound just fine. All right, so string number 5, fret number 2, string number 4, fret number 2, using fingers 2 and 3. All right, what we're going to do, when you're first playing these chords, apply a good amount of pressure, and then just go over each note individually. All right, make sure you can hear each note clearly. Make sure there's not any kind of buzzing. Sometimes what will happen is you'll be playing each note, and it'll sound like this. So you can hear there's a string in there that's not quite right. Well, the problem is I'm kind of sagging when it comes to my 3rd finger. So when that's happening, my finger is sagging just enough down to where it's just touching that 3rd string. So what you got to do, pull your wrist out a little bit toward the front of the guitar, of course. Get those fingers pointing right on top of that chord. All right? And so what you can do is play that muted note and just adjust your finger until you get a clear sound, just like that. And when you get that, you're able to identify what the problem is. And then play the chord all over again. All right, so when you get each string down very clearly, do a full-on strum. Just like that. All right? All right. When it comes to strumming, basically act like you have something on your fingers and you're trying to shake it off. It's more or less how you're going to strum. Just kind of throw your wrist out. Sometimes there's an upstroke. We'll go over that in future videos. But you just kind of want to be able to connect with all the strings when you're strumming down on the guitar. All right, and we'll go over more in depth strumming patterns, how to strum in future videos as well. But for now, that's how you hold the pick. All right, so now that we've learned an E minor chord, let's try another chord. Another common, very easy chord to learn is a D chord. So we're going to go over that one now. You're going to be using strings numbers 1, 2, and 3, and you're also going to be using fingers 1, 2, and 3. And so for starters, finger number 1 is going to go on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. All right? 3rd string, 2nd fret. Try to keep it kind of close over here to the fret bar, but of course not on it. And then your 2nd finger is going to go on the 1st string, 2nd fret. All right, so both fingers are going to be on the same fret, just on different strings, of course. String number 1 and string number 3. And then your 3rd finger is going to fill the gap, but on the 3rd fret. All right, so you're basically here, fret number 3, finger number 3, but the 2nd string. All right, so here you can see, hopefully you can see with the other angle. This is a D chord. Same as before, except in this one, generally you don't play the top 2 strings. And you'll see that in the diagram. Most guitar chord charts, what you'll see is you'll see a picture. This is called the nut of the guitar. This is giving you a reference point of what frets, how far you need to play for whatever chord that you're playing. But when there are O's, those are basically open strings that you do strum, that you do include in the strum. Sometimes you will see an X. You'll see an X in the diagram pretty much at the top of the nut here. And if there is an X in that particular string, you want to avoid playing that string. So what you'll see is when it comes to playing a D chord, there's an X on the 6th string and an X on the 5th string. So we're only going to play the remaining 4 chords, all right? So you can see here, when you go down one string at a time, every note should ring out clearly, no interruptions whatsoever. And again, if you have a muted note, identify what is causing it to be muted. Maybe you're not pressing down hard enough, or maybe something else is obstructing the vibration of that string to be able to produce the sound clearly. So in this case, my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd string, is sagging again just a little bit. So what you want to do is lift that finger up just a hair. All right? And then play it again. And then you're able to hear every single note clearly on the guitar. And then you want to go ahead and strum all 4 of those strings. All right? So once you've started with, I would say start with 2 chords, memorize them. First things first, memorize where they belong, what position your fingers should be in. And so we learned a D, or an E minor, excuse me, was the first chord that we learned. The D was the 2nd chord that we learned. So what I encourage you to do, take those 2 chords and just practice playing one out, making sure it's clear, and then switch to the other chord. Playing it out, making sure it's clear, and then switch back. So basically it should sound a little something like this. Play each note. This is the E minor chord. Sounds good, strum it. All right? And then what you want to do is you want to switch to your D chord. Get your fingers in place, bottom 4, and strum it. And then once you get more comfortable, once you develop that muscle memory, what you want to do is just go back. Strum out the E minor, D. And pretty soon, you'll be able to pick up speed to where you'll be able to just switch these back and forth pretty much without looking even. All right? So work on that. Once you feel comfortable with that, practice a couple of other chords, maybe a G chord or a C chord, and then switch between those two, and then change it up. Instead of just playing G and C, play G and D, or play C and E minor, and pretty much just go from there. And so, like I said, the more you practice it, you'll develop that muscle memory, and just practice those transitioning, because when it comes to playing especially fast songs, sometimes you're moving pretty fast here on the fretboard with your left hand. Your right hand will be chugging away, but it's a pretty consistent pattern for the most part. Your left hand is going to be moving in a handful of different positions. So you want to make sure that you've developed that muscle memory to be able to play whatever chord you intend on playing clearly and quickly. And so go ahead and practice those chords. And I believe that covers it all for basic song service guitar lesson number 1. As I mentioned before, I will provide a link in the description to be able to print off the PDF that ties to this lesson. Feel free to print that out. There's a few chords at the bottom of the page that will really help you just to practice. You'll see the diagrams that shows the X's and the O's of which strings you should or should not play, and the finger positions there as well. And of course, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll respond to your questions as soon as possible. And the method you can reach out to me at is worldcfmmusic@gmail.com. Feel free to check out our website. There's some more materials there, and of course, it'll be growing as we go along. That's worldcfmmusic.com. Of course, email again, worldcfmmusic@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.